His name's Benny, and my name's the Jets. And this is the Kickin Ash Podcast.
They get better.
We're
each
getting
week.
we're getting
Each
better
week
at that.
they get better and better.
Yes.
So Logan, this is our third episode now. Let's talk about what we always start our episodes out with, and that is what we are smoking.
Yes.
Let's hold this up, see if they can see it. They might be able to.
Special cigars tonight.
This is very special. This is the Tyrannical Buc by Jas Sum Kral Cigars, also known as JSK Cigars. Probably more commonly known by their abbreviated name. On one of our first episodes, Riste, who is the founder of JSK, actually commented that he really liked what we were doing. And we just started conversing a little bit. And, I didn't urge him at all to send us cigars. Nothing like that. No dry bagging was in place, nothing. And
Come on, you dry bagged.
Well, maybe. But
no, he didn't. He didn't. I saw the conversation. He did not.
Risty and I were just kind of talking, and he was talking, about how he likes the positive direction that we go with this podcast and how we just have fun with it. Last week we were talking about the passion behind the industry being one of the reasons why I really enjoy smoking cigars. And just that conversation that I had with Risty just a few days later is prime example of exactly what I was speaking of on episode 2. So he sent us several cigars, actually. I mean, quite the box full of cigars. And I picked this one out because this is, well, first of all, the Tyrannical Buc is the newest blend that he has out. But for this particular size, which I believe they call the Generosos, is a 5.5 by 40. It's their Corona size. I'm a Corona guy. I know I've said that multiple times. So this is what I picked out. And he gave us various sizes in this. So we're going to try those out later on as well. But this is what we went for tonight's episode. He picked the same one. This is the Maduro. And we also have the Connecticut. Has a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper, Nicaraguan jalapa binder, Nicaraguan Pennsylvania fillers. And this was made in the Tabacalera de Aragon factory. And
I always think it's cool when there's American tobacco in a cigar. Yeah. I just think it's cool. I'm excited about this. Big shout out to Risty.
Yes.
Thank you so much, man. You did not have to do that. But we are eternally grateful. And
100%.
I think I'm going to like this just due to the circumstances alone. But I have a feeling that we're going to enjoy these very much.
Is your first thing that you've ever had by JSK. Is that correct?
Yes. I've never had a JSK cigar before.
I've had multiple variations of stuff that he's put out. The Red Knight Toro. Probably the best Toro that I've ever had. And I'm not a Toro guy. But that being said, want to talk a little bit about the brand. This is some stuff that I kind of read. I'm not the type of person to really prod into people's lives. And, after he sent us this, I wasn't like, hey, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourselves? Just from information I've gathered throughout the years of kind of following him. What I've gathered is that Risty, much like a lot of other cigar consumers, they weren't really happy with what was on the market. A lot of them being Cuban. So he set out to do one of the most badass things that anybody could do that's a consumer of something. Create what you like. The same way that, this is why we're doing the podcast. We don't really like, not knocking anybody, but we don't really like what's out there. So we're doing what we would like.
Exactly.
So I respect that. From a similar standpoint. But Jas Sum Kral is Macedonian for I am king, which is fucking killer, right?
That's pretty cool.
Right? So the name for this particular cigar, the tyrannical part actually is based off of the powerhouse, the boldness of the cigar. I understand this is quite a powerhouse cigar. And then Buc is just a nickname for Risty. So
cool.
he combined the two, and I'm kind of tired of talking. I'm just
We should
Smoke
light them
it.
up. Got a cool, like, if you can't see from the video, like a Tyrannosaurus Rex with a crown on it.
Yeah.
Like a Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton, I guess, is what that is.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Look at you being polite and cutting right over the ashtray there.
I can't actually see what I'm doing.
It's got a very, like, to me, like, kind of coffee aroma on the outside. Like,
Yeah,
kind of like dark chocolate.
Yeah, it's very, I get coffee and like the cocoa to it, but I mean the on the cold draw.
Oh wow. That's almost like it's like a sweet, like a pretty sweet, substantial sweetness.
It's got the coffee to it. Kind of like a dark chocolate sweetness to it,
Yeah, like,
not overpowering, but it's there.
Do you get like a little bit of blueberry? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe something like chocolate and raspberry together or something.
Yeah,
like...
those fruits that you can buy where they're like chocolate covered, but they're like freeze dried blueberries and shit. Yeah, that's kind of what this tastes like.
That's a really, really awesome.
Yeah, it's very interesting, but I like it. Interesting in a good way.
All right, off to a good start. See if my lighter wants to work today.
Trying something new out, I believe, right?
Yeah, I got this new like dual flame lighter. I'm gonna see if it wants to work today or not. It's been kind of shoddy. I'm not super happy with it, but not too bad either. When it does work, I really like it. So.
I also really like Riste for the fact that he says fuck a lot. Because if anybody knows me, and this guy can vouch because we work together even in the office, I just still have my sailor mouth.
He doesn't tend to care who's around either. See, look at that. Like, it doesn't want to... It's supposed to click into the regular flame.
Hey, sorry, I'm enjoying my lit cigar over here. You can keep struggling.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I can.
Wow. So
the draw's a little tight. You feel the draw's tight?
No, not really. Mine's actually pretty good. Right off the bat, I mean, so you get coffee. Coffee's very prevalent. Red pepper, because there's definitely spice on it. The sweetness, it's more like a I'm trying to think of something that's like not like super overpowering sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely some sweetness to it, but it's not like an overpowering sweet. Just balances it all out. I mean, so far it's very, very well balanced.
I guess we didn't tell them what we're pairing it with tonight either. We're drinking some black coffee tonight. Cafe Bustelo. Personally, what I keep on hand at my house because it is my favorite coffee, and my wife actually was the one who turned me onto it, and so shout out to her.
His wife doesn't turn him on to much.
It's not true, babe. Love you.
Speaking, talking about this cigar, reading and hearing that this was a powerhouse, I just felt that it was just I actually told Logan that one or two things that we should pair this with would just be ice water or coffee. Because I really wanted something that's not going to overpower.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't want a beer or a scotch or something that was going to overpower this cigar. Because while, everything that I've read and heard, especially from William Cooper, Cigar Coop, is that this cigar is not only a powerhouse in the strength of the cigar, but it's really full of flavor. And so far, from what I've drawn, he's correct.
Yeah.
So this coffee complements it perfectly.
Very nice.
Wow, I really like
it.
Good. My draw, again, it wasn't tight, but I will say it's even opened up a little bit more as I smoked, so it might be one of those things for you.
I clipped it very close to the end, so I may end up snipping it a little more, but right now it's okay. I don't mind a little bit of a tighter draw. It doesn't bother me too much, so.
Yeah.
But anyways, so we have a fun-filled, action-packed, information-packed show tonight.
We do.
We're going to talk about wives and cigars. We're going to talk about cigar news, as we always talk about.
Hot topic. If your wife's watching this with you, get the hell out. Just kidding.
Yeah. And then we're going to start off with our first subject that we thought would be fun to talk about tonight.
I'm psyched about this.
Which is our top 5 infamous cigar smokers. So, full disclaimer, it's our own personal top 5s. I don't know who he has in his top 5. He doesn't know who I have in my top 5. Again, we didn't lay out any super rules for this or it's just supposed to be fun. Full disclaimer.
Yep.
Because I know some people will be like, well, this person didn't do blah, blah, blah. I approached it in this way. I approached it in 5 people who, when I think of, famous cigar smokers or people who smoke cigars that I saw either growing up or in today's world that just resonate with me who smoke cigars. Would you say you thought of it the same way, or?
Yeah. Look at that burn.
Very nice burn.
Yeah. So we always usually talk about what we want to talk about in our podcast the day of the podcast, because we're both procrastinators, even though we have a week in between each time that we shoot.
Mm-hmm.
But working together, we always usually bounce from office to office, talking to each other about what we're going to do, and what we're going to talk about. Today being what is today's holiday? Columbus Day or something?
Excuse me, sir. It's a National Genocidal Maniac Day. No, I'm sorry. I'm just kidding.
So
I do not believe that.
So we were
Some
off
people
work
do,
today.
But
so we were off work today. So we procrastinated even more on what to talk about, pushing it as late as possible. But
yep,
we talked about it, and we decided to come up with this list. And I'm just, we just decided we didn't want to do a joint list because, what's the fun in that? One of us picks 3, the other one picks 2, whatever. So we're like, let's just do our own separate lists and see who we come up with. And we're going to just give not a long story, but a little bit of a reason why we picked who we picked.
Yeah.
So my question to you, Logan, is do we want to do, you do one, I do one, or do you want to do all 5 of yours and I'll do all 5 of mine? Or
let's go back and forth. I'll start with my 5. You do your 5. My 4, your 4. Okay. So I'm going to start it out. I had a little fun with this.
You can't look at my list because mine's on my phone.
I'm not looking at your list. I promise I will not look at your list for sake of it being fun.
All right, let's go.
My number 5 most infamous cigar smoker comes from the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And he is Baby Herman. Baby Herman from Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Well, I mean, it counts, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's a baby, and I'll put a picture up so you guys can see if you don't know who I'm talking about. But if you haven't seen the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit, I loved it growing up as a kid. I probably didn't understand 90% of the innuendos that go on in it. Watching it now, it's even better. But I mean, the baby Herman is always smoking a cigar. I mean, every scene you see him in
looks like my son.
Yeah. he's just sucking down a cigar. And so for me, when I think about people in mainstream media or in, this is what I thought of. I was like, that baby that smokes a cigar the entire time in Roger Rabbit.
So I will count it. I mean, I guess we didn't counting it. We didn't set the rule of whether or not it was going to be cartoon or not. But
no, it's I will. It's my only cartoon. I didn't go full cartoon.
We'll count it.
I was going to go with maybe Tom, from Tom
and Jerry. Yeah, that would have been a good one.
But he kind of he normally smokes cigarettes, I think, or his own tail. Sometimes he smokes his own tail.
I think what was the dog's name? Was it Spike?
Mm-hmm.
He smoked cigars, I believe.
Might be the case. There's a couple cartoons out there that smoke cigars, but this one for me, I just couldn't get out of my head. So I was like, I'm gonna put it at number 5. Kind of doesn't count because it's a cartoon, but fuck it, like we said, it's fun.
It's our top 5.
Exactly. So your number 5.
I'm a little more traditional. I picked a human.
Okay.
My top 5, and this again, I don't know if you already explained or not. I may not have been listening because I was pulling up my list, but we're doing it from 5 to 1. I don't know if Logan has his ranked. But for me, like my number one is my number one pick.
Same. I'm the same.
So number 5 for me is Arnold Schwarzenegger for several reasons. One, and I hate to admit this on TV, but my first name is Arnold. And I always hated that name.
Finally,
because
it comes out because now I can call you Arnie.
No, you can't.
Like I always do.
Well, you already have, so it doesn't matter. It's not like you have.
I'm not saying I don't, but now I can call you Arnie on here, and people will understand why I call you Arnie.
Okay, well, whatever.
It's happening now.
So,
just be prepared.
So, Arnold Schwarzenegger and I, growing up, I was a 90s kid. So everybody remembers Hey Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I got picked on in school for. Dating, dude. So mine was Hey Arnold.
Wait, you got picked on for having the name Arnold?
Arnold, yeah.
Okay.
Because people would always be like, Hey Arnold, and I knew what they were talking
for
about,
the cartoon,
right?
Yeah.
But I don't really feel as bad because my dad told me, because my dad's first name's also Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad's in his 60s. So growing up, kids always made fun of him and called him Arnold Ziffel, which if you don't know who that is, that's the pig from Green Acres. So I always felt like my dad
lucked out way better.
And my dad was a fat kid.
Yeah.
So I feel like my dad got the short end of the stick with the name, but
that's rough, man.
The Arnold train stopped. All right, I didn't name my son Arnold at all. But anyways, hey, look. So anyway, back to this Arnold Schwarzenegger. I always wanted somebody else to have the name Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
That was cool, so I could be like, you know what? Fuck you. Arnold Schwarzenegger's name is Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger has this video that everybody's probably seen. If not, you need to just YouTube it. But I always just randomly say this to Logan all the time. The video starts out with Arnold saying, "Because after dinner, everyone ought to have a cigar."
Yeah, and he talks about how he's like, I don't have to ask my wife if I smoke a cigar.
Her father introduced me to cigars.
Yeah,
I don't have to sneak around like you, and he's just making fun of it. And he's a savage, and I love it. So Arnold Schwarzenegger is respectfully my number 5.
Your number 5. Okay.
Number 4.
Number 4 for me, Clint Eastwood.
I thought about that.
Yeah.
But I knew you would do it because we talk about El Torino.
Gran Torino.
El Torino. I was thinking El Camino.
Yeah. Which was, we'll have to do a review of that too.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. That in itself. But yeah, man, just those old Westerns, Fistful of Dollars and I'm not gonna be able to think of anyone now, all the Dollars trilogies and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, he always had like he didn't even have a band half the time on it. Just chewing on a cigar, light it up. I mean, he's the ultimate badass, at least one of them. One of the ultimate badasses of, film history. Just a man's man, and always had that like classic Clint Eastwood look, that stare through your soul while I have the cigar in my mouth.
He always reminds me of what my grandfather was before he became my grandfather.
Yeah, right. Like that's what. There's just not a lot of people like Clint Eastwood nowadays. And so for me, Clint Eastwood was my number 4. Growing up on his movies, my grandfather loved watching them, made me watch them with him, and I learned to love them too. So my number 4. How about you?
My number 4, I don't think you picked this guy.
Okay.
And that's why I picked him, is Ron Perlman. Ron Perlman, first of all, is just a badass guy.
Yep.
And Hellboy, he killed it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I originally got to know him. And then he went on to be Clay for Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
And in that show, like my desire to smoke a cigar was like amped up times 100 because I actually got into Sons of Anarchy later on. So I was able to like watch 3 full seasons of it and then be caught up. So every night I would come home from work and just binge watch it. And they'd always be smoking cigars. And I was like, fuck this, man. So, and at this time I lived at my house, like with my parents still.
Right.
So I lifted the window up and I was just puffing my cigar and watching, watching it. And I remember there was a scene in the show where I can't remember like the exact scene, but somebody walked up to Clay, handed him a box of cigars and said, "I heard you liked Camacho." And I was like, I've always wanted to try Camacho. Now I guess is the time to try it. Got one. It was just the cigar, I guess, but I didn't like it.
So, what the hell was he thinking?
Ron Perlman is my number 4.
That's a good one.
I just like him. You know,
I have not
cool
seen
guy.
much of Sons of Anarchy. I did know that he smoked cigars in that show a lot, and so that's I like that pick a lot. So on to number 3 then. All right, so my number 3 for me is the one I'm most excited about because to me this person was pretty much my childhood hero growing up, and that is Michael Jeffrey Jordan. I mean, what is there to say other than just being a child of the 90s? I had an entire Chicago Bulls bedroom. I, worshipped the ground that Michael Jordan walked on. I was a huge basketball junkie. As you know, me and you are huge basketball junkies.
Huge.
And
in fact, we play 2K after every episode.
Yeah. And so seeing all those images of Michael Jordan after winning championships, I mean, I've got one pulled up here we're looking at now that I'll put up for everybody, like I said. Just seeing him, you always saw him with the victory cigar in his Bulls uniform, smoking a cigar. If he's on the golf course, he's smoking a cigar. To me, even though he's my number 3 in my heart, he's really my number 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because I can distinctly remember that being like the first memory I have of like acknowledging somebody smoking a cigar and wondering like, that seems like pretty badass, and I want to be like him. So
yeah, man.
Number 3, Michael Jordan. Your number 3.
My number 3. Didn't even change my list. Is Michael Jordan.
Yes.
I knew Michael Jordan was going to be on your list because we are both huge basketball fans, and we always talk about Michael Jordan. Like, I swear not one basketball topic comes up. Like, even if we're not intentionally talking about anything relevant to Michael Jordan, we will bring up Michael Jordan's name. And he is my number 3. And that's why I love you. I knew he'd be on your list, but I didn't know he would be exactly number 3. My top 2 have different like meanings to me. That's why they're my top 2. But if it wasn't for that, Michael Jordan would be my number 1. Because same as you, growing up, like I'm a New York Knicks fan. You stop watching now if you're going to trash the Knicks. But I'm a New York Knicks fan. But growing up, like Michael Jordan was like Michael Jordan was the NBA.
He was the guy,
man. And when you were a kid, like Michael Jordan was it. Everybody talked about him. Everybody wanted to be him. And I was the same. Even though, I have a lot of family from New York, and like the Knicks was kind of like, a family team.
Yeah.
I still like had some Knicks stuff growing up as a kid, but like I always had other Michael Jordan stuff sprinkled around because that was just like, I loved Michael Jordan as a kid, and I still do.
Still love Michael Jordan. I've heard he's a total asshole, but I'm completely fine with that. Like, I don't even...
Yeah, he fucking deserves to be, really.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't even care if he's an asshole. No one can ruin it for me.
Right.
It was just, he was the guy, so...
Number 2, we're getting into the meat of it now.
Number 2 for me was Arnold.
Okay.
So, you said you had him at number 5. I had Arnold at number 2. To me, he just represents everything there is to represent about smoking a cigar. He's freaking super jacked and smokes cigars. And I instantly thought of, when we started thinking of this list, I thought of the video too.
Yeah.
And everything like that. So I had Arnold at number 2. I mean, he's just he's a dapper dude.
He is. He made his way onto Cigar Aficionado magazine, so that's pretty admirable.
And for me, again, being a 90s kid, the Terminator series was a huge series for me. I was obsessed with it as a kid. Commando, I was obsessed with. There's so many movies of his that I was just obsessed with. That to me, I was just like, I'm putting him at number 2. So
Jingle All the Way was one of my favorite movies.
I love that movie, dude.
Just because I feel like he didn't belong in that.
Favorite Christmas movie.
But he made himself fit into the movie.
Oh, dude, and it's so funny to me. Like they always give him like this real generic, like name, like like in his name in that movie is like Howard.
Yeah,
and you're like, this dude is some 6'5" Austrian jacked motherfucker, can't be named Howard and have a desk job, like.
Right.
But they always gave him that shit anyway. So, yep, number 2 for me was Arnold.
My number 2 is Al Capone.
Al Capone.
Al Capone.
Yeah.
So I have my mom's side of the family is Italian, and I have immigrants that moved over from Italy, kind of scattered across now. Some are in Virginia, some Florida, some New York. But growing up, my granddad, and they were all probably bullshit stories, but my granddad told me like mafia stories and so forth. And as a kid, my fondest memories was when my parents would go Christmas shopping for all of us as kids. We would stay with my grandparents. And my grandfather would always show us like all these old documentaries on mafia and La Cosa Nostra, shit like that. And my grandmother would introduce me. Probably my love for music was from my grandmother because she would play Elvis on the 8-track.
Yeah.
And my love for like the mobsters kind of grew from that. And I just started watching, I still watch shit. It comes on reels all the time. I'm like immediately on it and I'm watching it. And Al Capone is a very famous cigar smoker.
Yep.
And it brings back like a memory for me because my granddad always talked about Al Capone and cigars. So that has a special place in my heart. But when you think of mobsters, you think of John Gotti.
Yep.
You think of Al Capone.
Yeah. I mean, he's honestly, I would think of Al Capone as the first.
Yeah.
Yeah, his name popped into my head too when I was racking this list. So yeah. I like that pick also.
Now
right. The number one.
This one.
I'm wondering if it's the same.
No, it's definitely not the same.
It's not.
I know it's not.
Okay. My number one is Winston Churchill.
I thought about him.
Yeah. For me, I don't even know if you can find a picture of Winston Churchill not smoking a cigar, dude.
Yeah.
You can't.
No.
I mean, learning about him in school, in our textbooks, this dude had a cigar in his mouth. I'm not sure that he didn't just light one right off the other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Probably not.
And so, for me, I mean, the dude has his own Vitola. Like, he has his own, you call it a Churchill.
Right.
And, obviously, he's a dirty fucking Brit, but no, I'm just kidding. But to me, he's just the epitome of cigar smoker. He's who I'd want to be if I could be any cigar smoker. I just want to be able to light one right off the other and just smoke them 24/7 and just be an all around general badass. So
when I was doing my list, Winston Churchill almost made my list, then just didn't because, again, I also didn't want to add people that I figured you would have in your list. And I figured you would have Arnold. I figured you would have Winston. And I figured you would have Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
I also thought that you were going to have, oh, Jesus Christ, I'm drawing a blank now. Never mind. I lost that. But it just didn't. But I read that he would just always just sit back and relax and smoke a cigar, which, like you said, seems like he was always relaxing. But he had up to 4,000 cigars or some shit like that. So he was pretty heavily invested into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I just figured, when you have your actual own size of cigar, at that point, you've for me, the infamy of that alone was just enough to make me think number one. And two, I tried to think of people that I didn't even have to look. I just thought I was like, let me think of people that just to me, without even looking online or anything, who came into my head. So
yeah,
he was definitely the very first. And I was like, he kind of has to be number one for me because I was a big history buff growing up. And
Morgan Freeman, that's who I thought you was going to have on your list.
Yeah. I didn't. He actually didn't cross my mind. I saw. I was doing a little research after I thought of a couple, and I was just double checking that I didn't really miss anybody. And I saw Ron Perlman, and I was like, I bet you he sneaks into Joey's. So
yeah, he did.
So then, all right, man. If it's not
number
Sir
one,
Winston Churchill,
you should know who this is. And he's only my number one because I've told the story before. He's the reason I really started to get into real premium cigar smoking. And that is
Groucho Marx.
Yeah. He almost.
Charlie Chaplin and Groucho Marx almost.
Yeah, almost. PGA player Miguel Angel Jimenez, because I know we've talked about him before, and I've told you to check out videos of him, which you probably haven't. But he has this just like very like unorthodox like stretch technique that he does before he hits the course and stuff. He's always drinking wine on the course and cigars. And I know I told you the story that the reason I originally got into cigars was because I was watching PGA before I went to the course one weekend, and I was like, you know what, I really want to smoke a cigar, and then the rest is history.
Yeah.
But he's always smoking a cigar, and he's always like surrounded by beautiful honeys, and he's always drinking wine. And I remember, I'm like, I want to be this guy.
Right.
So I felt like I would be doing a disservice to him if I did not have him on my list. And because he's the reason I got into cigar smoking, he had to land in my top pick.
Okay.
I also really wanted to put, because a lot of people probably don't even know this, but Bill Cosby is a pretty big, well, not now.
Yeah. He's a pretty big
unless they make a special accommodations for him. But the reason I didn't put him on my list is because I figured there would be somebody else like, well, we're going to have to unsubscribe now that you support, whatever. But, that's...
I hear you. I don't blame you on that one.
So I strayed away from that one. But there's a lot of people. I mean, Morgan Freeman, he was in Cigar Aficionado magazine. He almost made it.
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman has, I have this part of my brain that just completely melts at the sound of somebody's very soothing voice.
Oh, yeah.
And Morgan Freeman is the
He's
voice.
got that. Or, dude, we didn't even mention Sylvester Stallone either. Big cigar smoker.
Yeah, I feel like that's just... a variation
like,
of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, to me, I was like, well, I like Arnold better, personally. But
yeah, right. Yeah,
that's why I picked him. But, I think Sylvester Stallone's been on the cover of Cigar Aficionado, too. I think. Long time ago.
I almost made a spoof and wanted to say Nick Jonas.
Yeah, right?
Who also made it on the Cigar Aficionado magazine.
That's a shout out to our first episode that never aired.
Let me tell you what, Logan, we need to get cream soda to any brand of cream soda to sponsor us, because that's all I'm drinking.
Cream soda. Hey, Dr. Pepper's got the new cream soda. If they want to sponsor us, Dr. Pepper, I know you're watching. You're a fan. Reach out. But anyway, that's our top 5. Let us know. Did we do it? Did we do it justice? Did we do it completely wrong, completely awful? Tell us how wrong we are in the comments.
And let us know your top 5.
Yeah, put your top 5.
When I literally went through the list, not because I was like, okay, I need a list of famous cigar smokers that I can just pick 5 from. Like, I had several people in my head, but I was like, well, let me look up a list, because there might be somebody that like clicked to me, and it was Ron Perlman clicked to me. I was like, I forgot.
Yeah.
So I was like, slide them in, But dude, the list goes on and on. They had fucking Rihanna's on there. Apparently, Rihanna's a huge cigar smoker.
I saw that when I was doing my research. I was like, I don't know if I could.
Who else was on? Jennifer Lopez.
Sigourney Weaver too.
Yeah, dude. Like, a lot of these chicks, which I absolutely love seeing girls smoke cigars, because I think that over the years this has been turned into a thing where everybody thinks that this is super macho and only guys can smoke cigars. And really, I like seeing chicks smoke cigars too.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty cool to me to see. And I almost added a chick on here, but just I didn't.
Yeah, I feel like just because I didn't know until I looked it up.
Yeah,
but
that many famous
still
women
pretty cool.
that smoked. But
and we're going to be talking about that a little bit more too later on in the show. But before we do that, let's just run down a little bit of cigar news.
Before we get into cigar news, I want to give a little update. Burn is still pretty sharp on this.
Yes.
Still red pepper. This is still pretty much a spice bomb, so I get where the powerhouse term is coming through. Still coffee, cedar. It's very earthy. Sweetness has died down a little bit. But it's very full, creamy smoke. It's still very full body cigar. The ash fell off on me, and I don't know if that was because I was moving around or what. But the construction of this thing is super superb. This is amazing.
And
might be the best blend that he's made to date.
I wish I had something to compare on, but I'm really enjoying this. I definitely you get that pepper, in the draw, but it lingers quite a bit on my palate, at least. Even after I've exhaled and that pepper is sticking around, kind of in the back of my mouth, like. But it's a good. It's not, to me. It's not like so peppery that I'm like, It's a
I've
good.
had those.
Yeah, it's a good pepper. And it's still pretty smooth despite it being, peppery like that. So
yeah, I understand that.
Very very enjoyable smoke. Again, shout out to Riste and JSK Cigars.
Hashtag JSK virus. That is a real hashtag, by the way.
Like it.
Didn't want you to think I made that up. JSK virus.
You doing his branding now?
Anytime you smoke a Jas Sum Kral, JSK virus.
Absolutely. And we'll put the link to their website down in the description as always, as we do with all the things that we enjoy on the podcast. So into the news. I'll start it off just some interesting news that we both saw this week was that both of our favorite companies. I'd say especially me. I'm really fond of Southern Draw cigars. They are absolutely one of my favorite brands. I really have not smoked a Southern Draw cigar that I didn't like. Their newest cigar, the Desert Rose, which I haven't got a chance to try yet. I don't think you have either, right?
I haven't even tried the original Rose of Sharon.
Rose of Sharon is a phenomenal cigar. Definitely in my top 5 of all the cigars I've ever smoked. But the Desert Rose, I guess, I couldn't give you the specifics of how in line it is with the Rose of Sharon or whatsoever. But they have very similar bands. The pink band.
We can soon enough because we are going to grab some.
Oh, definitely. And the news with that with the Desert Rose is that it's going to be in their full lineup starting in 2020. And so you'll be able to get it, I guess I assume year round.
Yeah,
if it's in the full lineup. So if you guys didn't know, they do all their cigars out of the AJ Fernandez factory,
which is huge.
Yeah. Probably another reason that I love them so much. So Desert,
AJ's established, themselves as a cigar company for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
One of the probably more popular, better known brands. So anytime I hear a cigar is coming out of the AJ Fernandez factory, I'm not even worried about, whether or not I'm going to like it. Typically,
right. Definitely not worried about the quality. Yeah, or the the construction, is going to be on point. So yeah, that's exciting. Definitely going to pick up some Desert Rose. I foresee us smoking quite a few Southern Draws in the future on this podcast. And we definitely look forward to doing so.
Correct.
So, what else you got for them?
So this is something that just dropped today, actually. So I'm just going to read this. Starting today, La Polina Cigars will be handling distribution for Room 101, the company behind brands such as The Farce, Doomsayer, The Big Payback, all good cigars except for the Doomsayer. I have not tried it yet, so I can't speak on that one. But Matt Booth, Matt's unique energy and synergic approach to our business is second to none, said Bill Paley, owner of La Polina. Together, we are looking forward to growing our respective brands globally, which I'm super hyped about because, to me, I think La Polina is actually a little underrated.
Mm-hmm.
But Room 101 cigars were previously distributed by Down and Back, which is the company Robert Caldwell founded. Although Room 101 portfolio is now in the hands of La Polina, Down and Back will still distribute Hit and Run, which I smoked one earlier, the Tea, which are both collaborations that Matt Booth and Robert Caldwell did together. Matt Booth said, "This union will serve the mutual benefit of both organizations and is reflective of our resolve to provide our retail partners with the best service and support possible." So look for big things to come from both of them.
Yeah,
and I'm
really
super pumped.
One.
I'm super pumped about that.
That was one of the you bombed me sort of one day. You brought over a box of 101.
And just stayed here forever.
Yeah. And God, what are those are I can't even think what those are now. I
can't remember either.
The box press lighter wrapper cigar with black band. I can't think of what they are, but
a lot of them have black bands.
yeah.
But I can't remember because I brought that over probably 2 years ago.
Yeah, I still have some.
Yeah,
and I like them a lot. And I think they were done by somehow Camacho was involved in that one too, though, or something.
I have no idea.
But yeah, that's a Room 101 we really love. Of course, Caldwell.
Yes,
He's our resident Caldwell expert. He's turned me on to Caldwell big time. We're big fans of Caldwell here.
Quite the man crush on Robert.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure Robert knows it.
So then, what else we got for him?
That being said, I'm gonna pull up a little link here real quick, just so I can make sure that I have everything on my T's dotted and my I's crossed, as everybody likes to say.
Mm-hmm.
So this was pretty big news last week that came out that Warped, Kyle Gallus of Warped, and Jeremy Reeves, who is the head blender for Cornell and Deal pipe tobacco, which I don't know if you smoked pipe ever, or if you do, or if you're into it. But I'm still a pretty avid pipe smoker as well. Typically, fall, winter time is when I love to smoke pipe more.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw this come out, and I was super excited about it because Warped and Jeremy teamed up. Kyle and Jeremy teamed up, and they made a blend of pipe tobacco. And I'm kind of pissed because there was only 2,000 made, and they were limited to just smokingpipes.com. And it came out last Thursday, and it sold out the same day. And I had some shit going on that day between work, and I had some family issues going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I missed out. But I'm working on a trade with somebody in my Facebook group, so hopefully I can get some and try it. If I do get some, I intend to do a review on it. But they worked several months on a special project described as a bridge between the pipe tobacco and boutique cigar world. That's the interesting part. Gallus and Reeves attempted to bring the blending process that Gallus uses to create Warp's highly rated cigars to this unique pipe tobacco blend. The blend it's called The Haunting. The Haunting uses Virginia tobaccos and double-A Dominican Criollo leaf, a variety that Gallus has used previously for some of his Warped cigars.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, to me, you have cigar, you have pipe, they fuck.
Had a little baby.
You get this, and I can't wait to try it. I mean, I'm going to track some down, and I'm going to do a review on it.
I would like to try.
Promise.
I would like to try as well.
I'll get some.
I have only smoked a pipe maybe 1 or 2 times. Enjoyed it both times. But I don't own a pipe currently. The 2 times I did, it was out of like a corncob pipe. But
which interesting enough that you said that. Some of my favorite pipes are smoked out over corn cobs. They're perfect.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and just have never really gotten into it. It's funny, we were at work and he mentioned this to me, and I'd actually seen it already and hadn't even thought about it as a topic to cover, but had thought about it as oh man, I'd really like to try that, because again, it's Warped, another brand that we love. And I also, of course, we live in Virginia, using Virginia tobacco. I also think that's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that and I think we just have one more thing to touch on, do we? Or
yes. Again, something else involving Warped cigars. They announced that the Skyflower was coming back at IPCPR in June. The Skyflower was originally released 2 years ago in 2017. And it's going to be introduced. I believe I read from Andrew, who is owner of Small Batch Cigar, that they're going to be releasing it Wednesday or Thursday.
Oh, really?
So I can't remember exactly which day, but pretty exciting stuff. So here's just a little tidbit from it. After a 2-year hiatus, Warped Cigars has announced the return of Skyflower. First released in 2017, Skyflower incorporated high priming medio tiempo tobacco that grows on only a small fraction of tobacco plants. This high priming leaf typically gets more sunlight and nutrients than the rest of the plant, giving it a much fuller flavor and strength than other tobacco. Skyflower 2019 will be available at the following retailers, and there is a huge list of retailers. Logan has the link here, so we'll include that in the link below the video, so that way you can see what retailers are going to be carrying it. I know some of the bigger ones are, JR Cigars is going to be carrying it. Also, already said it, Small Batch is going to be carrying it. If you have local retailers, check with them as well. Atlantic Cigar is going to be carrying it. So a lot of the bigger names are going to be carrying it.
Fox Cigar.
Fox Cigar, yeah, as another one. Fox Cigar, you'll get a free cigar if you order from them. Just tossing that out there. But so I'm pretty stoked about it. I had the original cauliflower. Jesus Christ, Skyflower,
cauliflower. That's the next lineup.
So I had the original Skyflower in 2017, and I loved it. And when they stopped making them, I was like, oh man, one of those things that we'll never see again. And here it's back, and I'm probably just gonna have to grab a box this time around just to be safe.
Yeah.
And we'll review that.
We should, yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool that it's kind of that that where they said it's like a small fraction of tobacco plants have that that medio tiempo tobacco, so
which
always makes
plays
it cool.
into the reason why it's
it's
kind of like the McRib.
Yeah,
of cigars.
I'm sure they'd love to hear that.
Hey, but the McRib.
Well, the McRib's a hot item.
It is.
You had an experience earlier this week, I think, where you tried to get the McRib and they.
Yeah. So, I don't understand why so many people, and I don't even really consider fast food to be the restaurant industry, but I pull up to a McDonald's because my wife was in Nashville all week, and I had my son, and he loves their Happy Meals, so I went there and I got him a Happy Meal, and I pull up, and they have a sign that says, "The McRib is back, order now."
Right.
So I was like, "Hey, can I have a McRib?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we don't carry those."
This is the worst feeling.
And the only thing that my lungs could muster up and my brain working together to shoot out of my mouth was, "Oh, it makes sense." So, but apparently it's coming back.
Yeah. Well, that's like our journey to try and find the Popeyes chicken sandwich. Which, as soon as we can get our hands on,
Popeyes has jerked me off in the last 4 weeks.
Yep.
That my wife has our entire 7 years of being together, because they told me that they specifically would have it in October, and I called and they said, "Nah, we're looking at sometime September now."
November.
Did they?
You said September.
Yeah, November.
But yeah, they're just gonna keep pushing it back until they actually have it. But it is what it is. We'll eventually get our hands on the Popeyes chicken sandwich, and
it's gonna be.
We might. Yeah, we're gonna.
No, it will be.
It will be,
because nobody's gonna believe that we got the chicken sandwich if we actually got it.
All right. Well, that wraps up the news. And so we're doing okay on time. But basically, we got like a little bit of a wrap up topic here where we're just going to talk about our wives, your wives, everyone's wives, girlfriends, significant others.
Because we know it's something you battle with.
Yes.
Well, not all of you. I envy every guy that I see sitting in a lounge, taking a selfie with their wife, and their wife smoking a cigar. Because I do not have that, and I never will.
Yeah, but to me, I'm like, do I envy that, or do I just enjoy the fact?
I mean, I don't envy the fact that, my wife would be tailing me.
Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily want my wife in the lounge with me.
No. But what I envy is the fact that, like,
they're okay with that.
These guys never come home and they're like, you take a shower, brush your teeth, or anything like that. You smell like a cigar. Because that's what I always get. In fact, every time I leave Logan's house and I go home, my wife is always like, I'm like, fuck you.
So what would let's go through this, because here let's explain the scenario a little bit better. I personally probably have it a little better than you.
Yep.
Because my wife enjoys the fact that I smell like cigar. Because to her,
don't mask your
it's just a sign of I mean, I stink otherwise. No, but to her, it gives off a certain masculine vibe, and my wife's into that. You, on the other hand, your wife is not really about it.
I mean,
so
my wife's not like against it. You know, I'm fortunate because I've come across people who were like, oh, I'm not smoking tonight because, you know, my wife doesn't want me to. Or I've had people like post in the cigar group that were like, hey guys, what should I do? My wife doesn't want me smoking cigars anymore.
yeah,
You know, and I mean, you ask that in a group of like 1,000 assholes, you're not going to get one person.
you're gonna get berated.
You're not going to get one person.
You're gonna
who's
get berated.
Compassionate.
Yeah,
And they're like, you know what? You should sit down. You should talk to her. You know, we're all like,
suck it up,
fucking,
pussy.
Yeah, take your fucking balls back. You know.
Yeah.
But for me, my wife just doesn't like the smell of it. But she doesn't care, you know. I mean, she knows that we do the podcast. She doesn't care. I can grab a cigar. I can smoke it whenever I want. I spend money on cigars. She doesn't care about that. So I'm very fortunate. But I just get the constant nagging of how I smell.
Right.
After I smoke a cigar.
And I'm lucky that I don't have that. But we're here today just to have a small, quick, honest conversation. We're not going to berate or belittle like you would in the cigar group or in the comments section of YouTube or whatever.
Definitely not.
But basically, we'll each just lend a little bit of advice to what you should do or how you should approach smoking cigars with a woman who may not be as passionate as you are about the matter. And so, what would you say has been your best advice in keeping that happy balance of happy wife, happy life, but also I enjoy what I want to enjoy?
Yeah. Happy my life.
Yeah.
Happy my life.
Yeah, right.
No, so I mean, my wife originally did have an issue with it because, you know, I smoked randomly here and there, and then I really started to pick it up and get into it, and I was like picking her up, smelling like a cigar, you know, and then she was like, have you been smoking again, blah, blah, blah. And then like, it never came down to like that serious of a conversation where she was like, you know, I can't be in this relationship, blah, 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 any horse shit like that. But you could just tell she didn't like it, and she would have preferred that I stop smoking cigars. But you know, my wife and I have always kind of had a good balance of, you let me do what I want to do, no questions asked. I'll let you do what you want to do, no questions asked. And we have that understanding between one another, and that is what really worked for us. And you know, my wife, she's a school teacher, so she doesn't have an exciting life or passions really. You know, she doesn't really have anything she's into.
Yeah. She's into teaching.
But I do, and I'm like, look, I was like, you know, no matter what you pick up or what you want to do, I'll support you 100%. I was like, you know, I'm not even asking for you to support me in this journey. I just really want you to just accept the fact that this is something that relaxes me. This is something that keeps me sane. This is something that I'm very passionate about. And regardless of whether or not I would agree with it, if it makes you happy, then that's all I'm concerned about 110%. And then like immediately she was like, okay, as long as you don't smoke, you know, I mean, and Logan and I, you know, we'll go out with our wives, we'll go to breweries and shit, and we can smoke around my wife, and she'll set out when I smoke and stuff. But, and I actually got her to try a cigar one weekend when I went and got my tattoo from my buddy Sean Green at Trinity Tattoo in Virginia Beach. Well, not me. He got her to try a cigar. Oh, it was the funniest fucking thing ever. But, you know, I mean, she's fairly open to it. You know, she knows it's not illegal. She doesn't really care at this point in our life, and it just happened because, you know, it's about coming together and
compromising,
you know, compromising.
Yeah. So I'll speak to that a little bit and give a little, you know, my 2 cents on it too. You know, like you said, have an honest conversation with the person that you love. For me, I had that conversation right from the get-go. I was, you know, into cigars already, you know, when I met my wife. And, you know, I'm lucky that, again, she isn't as turned off to it as, you know, most women would be. But basically I said, you know, I have things that I enjoy, and I'm not going to stop doing those things just because we're in a relationship. Now, again, if it was something that was, super critical, or I was doing something that was, completely, if I was like, well, I'm into black tar heroin and I'm not going to stop. For,
oh, my wife made me kick that one. Yeah. I can tell you that.
But, I basically kind of, said that from the get-go. I was honest about what I enjoyed. And I've always said that whatever, she enjoys within reason, she can, completely, indulge in that as well. So the biggest thing is having that conversation. I feel like a lot of guys that we converse with about this, that say their wife is totally upset, is that, if you're the type of person who approaches your significant other and has that honest, genuine conversation, and they still can't accept it after that, you might just you gotta make a decision. Yeah, you might have to give up one or the other. And I'm not here to give any sound relationship advice outside of cigars, but your decision may have been made long before you ever knew it. And so yeah, just that it always pains me to see guys in that situation, because you almost feel like that's when you do get the guys who are like, sack up, it's time to blah blah blah, right. Tell her this, that, and the third. And sometimes laying down the law a little bit, there's nothing wrong with that. If it's done in the right manner and that sort of thing. But all in all, enjoy what you want, be honest about it. Don't go trying to smoke a cigar in your car and then spray 15 spritzes of cologne and
Axe body spray.
Yeah. And then on top of that, just don't be the guy who gripes about it all the time. Just don't be that guy who's like, my wife doesn't let me do this and doesn't let me do that, and nobody wants to hear that shit.
Then you really have become a bitch.
Yeah.
And we don't want to fucking hear it.
Man. Like, don't come bitching to your buddies 24/7 about your wife and then go home and pretend to her like everything's fine and you don't have a problem and that sort of thing. Because something I've learned in this life, especially very recently, is that the truth will set you free. Be honest about it. Be upfront. And a lot of times women are attracted to that. They're attracted to somebody who's confident, who says, hey, this is what I do. I'm going to do it. And, you may not like it, but I'll try and accommodate you to where you're not exposed to it as much, but it's not going to stop me from doing it. And then you go out and you spend $5,000 and you bankrupt yourself on a brand new humidor and 5,000 cigars to put in it. But separate bank accounts, that's a subject for another day too. But but yeah, I mean, I think that pretty much covers it, right? There's nothing else.
No, I mean, the reason we talked about it is because, I mean, first of all, I'm always telling Logan about how my wife bitches about how I always smell after cigars and whatnot. And honestly, smoking in the studio with the rabbit air has really helped, honestly. I mean, I don't go home and like I can put my nose into my shirt and I do not really smell like cigar. I mean, like I almost have to be looking for it in my clothes. And I think that helps a lot. Little tips that you can try to do as well as, as soon as you get done smoking, if you can, just hop in the shower, take a quick shower, wash your hair, brush your teeth, mouthwash, stuff like that, just so it's not lingering on you. I mean, Logan
be
made
polite
a good
about
point.
it.
Yeah, you don't want to, you finally reach an agreement. You don't want to be like, okay, well, I'm glad that, we've reached that agreement. And then you kick back in your fucking your recliner, and you light up a fucking cigar right in the house with your fucking baby sleeping in the crib behind you.
Bite the cap off and spit it on the floor.
Doing all that shit. If you're going to be able to come to this agreement, you want to be respectful about it, because you don't want to cause any issues, because face it, you're lucky at this point that she let you,
right,
or she's okay with it. And then, another little bit of advice is to maybe even ask her if she would like to try some of your cigar.
And if you've got that, put a ring on it. If she's going to smoke a cigar with you, put a ring on it.
That being said,
if you haven't already,
if she does, and she's like, oh, I'm actually into that. Let me have one of my own. And she starts getting into it. Don't tell her the lounge you go to is this. Just be like, oh, they're super sexist. It's guys only.
Yeah.
Like I'm working on because I really want you there or some shit like that. You know, little lion isn't gonna hurt anything.
Yeah. You know, just
totally joking.
We all need our safe space.
Yes.
Well, yeah. So that being said, guys, if you need any relationship advice, fuck off. No.
Don't come to us.
So why don't we give them the final notes on your cigar here?
So, I mean, this fucking thing's amazing.
It's fantastic.
You know, the construction's amazing. I mean, it's a beautiful cigar. I mean,
I'm picking up something very distinct. Are you Did you have a transition at all? Do you feel like?
Mm-hmm.
I'm picking up a very distinct root beer flavor.
Well, I mean, that might be masked by the fact that I switched to cream soda now.
Yeah.
But like for me, the coffee's been all the way through.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's just very consistent. The pepper has died off a little bit, but it's still there. It's still a little bit sweet. I feel like the sweetness has picked up a little bit here. I would almost compare it to more of like a marshmallow. Like I feel like when I'm trying to think of something that's like sweet but not overpowering sweet, it's like a marshmallow because it's kind of got like a subdued sweetness flavor to it. So like coffee, pepper, marshmallow. Cedar's completely died down, a little earthy still.
Yeah.
Amazing cigar. I mean, the burn is absolutely crazy. I haven't touched it up once. The ash has fallen off in good sized chunks, so I mean that's a good sign for construction. The draw for me was perfect. I mean, I couldn't really want a better draw on this cigar. And then aside from that, I mean, you know, you just saw me light up, but that was because it went out because we were talking. But
running our mouths as usual.
Mean, Riste.
Great job, man.
Probably the best blend that you put out, and I'm super honored that you asked me if we wanted to try some of the new stuff, and you sent me these. This is absolutely amazing. I can't wait to try the other sizes as well. But seriously, man, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for your support. Thank you for reaching out, letting us know, you know, that you are supporting us and you like what you see, and sending us these out and offering to share some of our content. I mean, that's huge to have that.
Yeah.
As such a new channel from somebody that's, you know, so well respected in the industry. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Many thanks. Joey summed it up perfectly. So I won't touch any more on that, but just know that we're both very grateful. And with that being said, guys,
buy these.
Yes, buy these.
Tyrannical Buc.
Find them. Let me know if you get the root beer flavor, because mine is definitely singing out root beer.
Yeah, let us know. But go buy these, seriously.
So yeah, so with that being said, guys, as always, follow us on Instagram at Kickin Ash Team. Dude, I forget it every single time.
It's Team Kick Ash.
Team Kick Ash. Why do I forget our Instagram name?
You could just type Kickin Ash, and it'll come up. But Team Kick Ash.
Of course, subscribe to us on YouTube if you're watching us on YouTube. Find us in the Facebook group, Cigar Society. And as always,
he forgets Spotify.
As always, if you want to listen to the audio, find us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, a couple other random ones that I don't even know, but they're out there. If you search Kickin Ash, I'm sure you can find it.
You don't want to see our waterheads for an hour? Put us on Spotify on your way to work, during your lunch hour.
Spark up a cigar.
Drive home, you know.
Yeah.
You want a little background noise when you're schmoozing up on the wife.
Yeah, you know, you're getting her in the mood.
What better? But that being said, we forgot to give this a rating.
Oh, yeah.
We always do out of 5 kick-ass donkeys.
Yes.
And this is very rare. And I'm honestly not saying this just because he sent me this.
Yeah.
So I'm a pretty honest fella. Honestly, I mean, this size is amazing for me. The draw was perfect. There's not one issue. Flavors were consistent, yet they transitioned in like all the right ways. This is a 5 for me.
5 kick-ass donkeys.
5 kick-ass donkeys.
That is our first. Now, we haven't had many episodes, but that's our first 5 kick-ass donkeys out of 5. I almost can't argue with that. You know, I would say the only knock I have on it is my draw is still just a little tight. I could have probably clipped it a little more. I could have probably perfect drawed it if I had to. What the fuck? 5 kick-ass donkeys out of 5 for me too, man. The root beer flavor is honestly just... I've never gotten that distinct of a root beer flavor out of a cigar. And to me, I'm loving it. So
yeah, I mean, it's very, very unique.
Yep.
Definitely a powerhouse. Full cigar. Seasoned smoker would love this. A new smoker, try it.
Yeah.
He also offers the Connecticut, which I'm sure probably is a little bit lighter, just due to the fact that it's a Connecticut. But that being said, again, please check these out. Support Riste. He's an amazing guy. Has a great blend.
Absolutely.
And super, super awesome presence to be around.
Yes, sir.
That said,
now we can wrap it up. And as always, have a kick-ass day.